been a tough budget sales pitch week for the government, and that backlash that we've seen, particularly from young investors and entrepreneurs, has been quite severe. The latest, a group of young female entrepreneurs called Female Founders, upset about what the government is doing here with the changes to capital gains tax put forward in the budget. Then there was also the friendly fire, if you can call it that, or unfriendly fire from Labor Premier in New South Wales, Chris Minns, about not doing enough on the top tax rate as well. So all in all, yes, it's been the government on the back foot. It wanted to spend this week talking about its efforts to help more younger home buyers into the market, get a crack in the housing market. Instead, it's been this decision to extend the changes beyond just the property market to all investors that has seen this backlash. Look, some of it's been misinformation, to be sure, a rather pithy campaign of AI images of the Prime Minister taking half your business. It's been very clever, but perhaps not entirely accurate. Nonetheless, it has meant the government has had to be defending what it's doing here, and it has at times been struggling to explain why it's extending this change beyond just property to all investments. Paul Keating, importantly, has backed the government here. The former PM doesn't always back the government, certainly on AUKUS, but he has plenty of tax reform cred, and he has endorsed entirely what the government is doing here. So that mattered, and the government still hopes there is a silent majority out there who will welcome what it's trying to do here in the big picture, rebalance the tax system in favour of those who earn their income from working, from labour, rather than from assets. But right now, it is those who are losing out or think they're going to lose out that are creating the most noise. There will be some consultations. There are some consultations with the startup sector in particular. The government really can't settle that issue quickly enough to get itself out of this mess that it's in.
Spearsy, Labor wants these changes passed by Parliament fairly quickly, and to get them through, it looks as though the most obvious way will be with the support from the Greens. Where do the Greens stand on this? Because I would be guessing in that they're going to probably be trying to push the government to go even further than they have so far.
Exactly right, James. So on the other side, you do have the Greens who say this isn't enough. They want to go harder on these capital gains tax breaks. They don't like the grandfathering of any investment properties. They don't really like discounts at all for capital gains tax. So yes, they're pushing the government to go even further here. And look, the Greens know that they are the only pathway through the Senate for the government. The coalition aren't going to help the government on this. So they know they need those numbers from the Greens in the Senate. Ultimately, though, few expect the Greens would vote against this. So the government will be hoping that it won't need to give too much ground to win the Greens over. And the government wants this done very quickly. It wants all of this done and dusted, passed through Parliament by the time Parliament rises for the winter break on July 2. So about 6 weeks from now. That's a pretty speedy time frame, but you can see why. The government does not want a drawn-out, painful debate over all of this. It wants to get it done and then let people see the lived reality with plenty of time before the next election.
Hey, Spearsy, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of things to do with One Nation. Now, Pauline Hanson's just unveiled her policy for a higher gas tax. Do both ends of the political spectrum seem united on this one? And also I want to ask you about your take on this speculation about a move to the lower house for the One Nation senator.
Well, OK, on gas first, there is agreement across both ends of the political spectrum that the current system, it's called the Petroleum Resource Rent Tax, isn't working. You've got the Greens, Independent Senator David Pocock in particular, the ACTU as well, who want a flat 25% tax on gas exports. It's proving to be an extremely popular campaign that they're running in the community as well, to tax those gas exports at a flat 25%. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got Pauline Hanson saying, well, she would prefer to have some sort of Commonwealth royalty. It's a little unclear what that level would be on all gas production that's going to be exported, and then an ownership stake for the government of 30% in new gas projects, a bit like the model that Norway adopts. The difference is Pauline Hanson is all about expanding the gas sector, so drill, baby, drill, a lot more gas production. Those on the more progressive side arguing for this 25% gas tax aren't particularly keen on expanding the gas sector. So you do have some differences there. The government, for what it's worth, doesn't really like either of these ideas right now. It wants to put in place a domestic gas reservation scheme on the East Coast. Hasn't put out a lot of details about that today. We're hoping to see a discussion paper that might flesh that out. So right now it's kind of stuck in the middle on this. And as far as Pauline Hanson moving to the lower house, well, look, if One Nation can maintain this level of popularity they're currently enjoying, then I think it would be, yes, quite likely that Pauline Hanson seeks to run for the lower house in Queensland. She started her political career as the member for Oxley in the lower house. I'm sure she would feel great vindication winning back a seat for One Nation in the lower house and being joined potentially by several other One Nation MPs. So it's a bit of a watch this space, but if those polls remain strong for One Nation, that temptation will absolutely be there for Pauline Hanson.